All right, my name is Captain Irving, and you're in F Troop. Now, oh, kitty. O'Rourke and Agarn are visiting Wild Eagle in his teepee, and O'Rourke is about to have his latest money-making idea.
Hey, Wild Eagle, your teepee's on fire.
Teepee not on fire. This my steam room.
Dig a pit in the floor, build a fire in it, throw some rocks on top. Every so often, splash some water on the hot rocks, and presto changeo, you have a steam room. Great for what ails you.
I've had the sniffles myself lately. Mind if I sweat them out here?
Go right ahead. Price 15 cents.
You had O'Rourke at price. Wild Eagle says the men of F Troop would probably enjoy coming up here and using it, but O'Rourke has a better idea. He's going to build one of these in the NCO club and charge the men to use it.
Don't you think the captain will get a little suspicious seeing everybody walk into the club wrapped in a blanket?
I've been thinking. Lately, O'Rourke Enterprises has been losing 12 hours a night because Captain lives on the post.
What are you gonna do, Sarge? Give him an eviction notice?
Remember, married officers live off of the post.
But he ain't married.
It's obvious to everybody except Captain Parmenter that Wrangler Jane would like to fix that little problem. So they're going to play Cupid and help her in her quest to win her man's heart.
Because I've given up on Wilton's ever asking me. Look, my wedding dress. On sale.
Or maybe she deleted that quest and moved on to a new one. No, the words Mrs. Wilton Parmenter still transport her imagination like nothing else can. O'Rourke says, leave it to us. Before you know it, that's exactly who you'll be. In the captain's office, they're waiting while he tries to get a desk drawer open. Otherwise known as, let's watch Ken Barry in action.
Can I give you a hand, sir? No, thank you, Corporal. Can I give you a foot? A foot? Say, that's a good idea. There.
Are you all right, Captain, sir? I'm fine. Oh, yeah.
You know it's coming. It's so obvious it's practically tattooed on the end of your nose. You can give it a 3, 2, 1 countdown like I sometimes do, and it's still funny. Some people just have that magic.
This never would have happened if you were married. It wouldn't? Well, it's lunchtime, sir, and you would have been home playing with the baby. What baby? You do like children, don't you, sir? Oh, yes. How many do you want? Well, I don't know. I think Jane wants a big family.
Yeah.
Jane, now how did she get into this conversation?
They say it's clear how the two of you feel about each other, so it's natural that we assume you'll tie the knot at some point.
Howdy.
Janie, what a pleasant surprise.
We were just talking about you.
What remarkable timing! And she happens to have a freshly baked apple pie.
What a thoughtful girl. And I'll bet it's the captain's favorite.
Well, no, actually, my taste runs to gooseberry.
You'd think Jane would know that.
What a beautiful dress, Wrangler. Say, I'll bet that cost a pretty penny.
Oh, it didn't cost nothing. I made it myself.
Did you hear that? She makes her own clothes. She's cheaper to keep than a horse.
Now there's a line that'll fan the spark of romance into a raging bonfire of desire.
Well, in all fairness to a horse, Corporal, they don't wear clothes.
This is not going well, mainly because it's too subtle. Yes, a beautiful young woman in a gorgeous dress with a delicious pie is too subtle for Wilton Parmenter. If they want to get the point across, what O'Rourke needs to do is pick the captain up, turn him upside down, shake him a couple of times, and then say, ask this girl to marry you or I'm going to keep doing that until your Adam's apple falls out. That might have a better chance of getting the message across than this. It's time to try something else like jealousy. If he thinks Jane is interested in somebody else, he'll have to step in and propose to her himself.
Who do we get to start courting Jane?
You.
Me? I'm spoke for.
Yeah, but Betty Lou is back in Passaic.
But some big mouth is bound to write her and tell her I'm going out with another girl.
Oh, now who would do a thing like that? Me.
We're wasting our time, O'Rourke. It won't work.
Why not?
Do you really think Wilton would believe I'm interested in Agarn?
That sparks a verbal fight that I wish I could show you because it had me laughing so hard. Cut to the next morning.
Morning, Jane.
Morning, Wilton.
What's in there?
Oh, I just fixed up a little breakfast.
Oh, really, Jane? You shouldn't have gone to so much trouble.
Oh, it's no trouble at all. Randolph loves my cooking.
Randolph?
Hold on, I'm sure my name is Wilton. Where's my ID?
Morning, Jane.
Morning, Randolph. Morning, Sergeant.
Wrangler?
I thought you might like some of my homemade flapjacks with homemade maple syrup and some homemade sausage with a homemade jug of coffee.
Okay, Jane, lay it on thick.
She probably wore that real pretty dress today because all her buckskins are in the laundry.
Yeah, that's probably it.
She probably should kiss it and make it better, but I'm not sure she's that committed to this plan.
Well, shall I have Dobbs bring your breakfast over, sir?
No, thank you, Sergeant. I just lost my appetite.
Even so, it's working. Over the next day or so, the two of them are never apart and they never seem to be out of Captain Parmenter's sight.
Good evening, Captain Parmenter.
At ease, Corporal.
With the captain's permission, I'd like to begin dining on Jane's homemade fried chicken, homemade biscuits, homemade apple butter, and homemade carrots.
Not as far-fetched as you think. She explains that she grew them in her garden. After dinner, they're going to pick wildflowers at night.
Yes, that's what makes it so wild.
Oh, how I wish I could show you the rest, because that goes on for a full minute, and there's not a moment when it's not funny.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I have to finish filling out my application for transfer.
Right, sir. Transfer?
That's not the reaction they were after. When O'Rourke asks why, he's got every excuse in the book.
Well, yes. One of the reasons is the climate. The climate here is very bad for me. It's too dry. I'd like to be in a place where they have a little more rain.
O'Rourke doesn't want to let that go by. He says, if you need to talk, I'm right here.
No, it's nothing like that, Sergeant. It's just that when an officer is in one post too long, it gets to be too much of a Jane. It's a strain.
It's good that he's holding his composure so the sergeant doesn't realize there's anything wrong.
When do you plan to leave, sir?
Just as soon as I can catch the first Jane. Train.
I think he was right the first time. He'd much rather catch a Jane than a train. A Jane doesn't run as fast. You can usually catch one of those without requiring a horse. O'Rourke says, then may we have permission to throw you a going-away party tomorrow.
Oh, Captain.
Yes?
This will be a kind of a combination affair.
Combination?
Yes, a farewell party for you and bachelor party for Corporal Agar.
In ancient Rome, they called that rubbing salt in the wound. The party is in full swing, but the captain just came upon something that has him aghast.
Agar, we're toasting you.
Thanks a lot, fellas.
She's blonde, but that's not Jane. He's drunk and going around making out with all the saloon girls. The captain doesn't think that's appropriate.
How can you behave this way when you're in love with Jane?
Who said I'm in love with Jane?
Well, you're going to marry her, aren't you?
Well, who wouldn't want to marry a girl who's got the best trading post in the territory and whose father owns 10,000 acres crawling with fat cows?
You mean you're marrying Jane for her money?
You don't think I'm marrying her for her fried chicken and apple pie, do you?
I don't recall whether we've ever really discussed the idea that Jane has money, but it makes a good excuse for Agar, and especially since it's clearly working. The captain is beside himself with rage. He goes to Jane and says, I forbid you to marry that cad. He actually calls him a cad. I looked it up just to be sure. It's a man of ill breeding who has no manners or comport, especially such a man who treats women badly. It's not enough to be a thief or a swindler to become a cad. You also have to master the wolf whistle and construction worker talk. I believe there's a final exam.
But Wilton, that's
I don't want to hear another word about it.
But Wilton, I just want to tell you something.
I don't want to hear another word. That man isn't good enough for you. He just wants to marry you so he can live off you and your fat father's cows.
Now what?
I mean your father's fat cows.
Wilton, my father ain't got any fat cows, and Agar never intended to marry me.
Jane's been having trouble with this whole thing since it began because deception just isn't part of her nature. She doesn't like it, and she dislikes being part of it even more. So she comes clean about everything.
Because that's not the way I want to get my man. Goodbye, Wilton, and good luck on your new post.
Jane. I don't think I'll be needing these transfer papers anymore.
Oh, Wilton.
See? You didn't need to fool him or anything like that. All you had to do was hit him over the head with it and explain the whole thing to him in words of one syllable or less. Then give him an hour. He'll figure it out. Their relationship will change from here on, but the changes are really subtle. We'll peek in on that stuff as we go along. And don't worry, since it was all pretend, Agarn isn't heartbroken.
The game is over, Corporal.
Head broken may be another matter. At the fort, the new steam room is ready for business.
Oh, no.
What's the matter?
I was testing the boiler in the steam room and forgot to turn it off.
Hey, come on!
Boiler? Why Legal didn't use a boiler? He used a fire pit with some rocks and a bucket of water. What do you need a boiler for? So we can blow up the NCO club again, obviously. It's been a while since we shot down the guard tower, so the men need something to rebuild. I'm not sure why Jane is so dead set on Wilton. She's talking about a lifetime of picking him up off the floor because he tripped again, bandaging up his fingers after the 9th time he slammed him in the door, waiting for him to check his manual to make sure regulations allow that position. I'm not sure how well she's thought this through. If you're enjoying this, be sure to click the thumbs up button to show you like it. If you're not subscribed yet, punch me in the face right here and get it done. And don't forget that you can become a patron and help keep this kitty fed. The link is below. Until next time.